I didn't lose my confidence all at once. It slipped away in pieces. Some of it disappeared in doctor's offices. Some of it under fluorescent lights. Some of it in the quiet when I was alone with my reflection. And my mind kept replaying before and after. But before all that, it started in the shower. I was washing just another day. And then I felt it, a lump at the top of my right breast. I sat down in that shower, in that tub, for 45 minutes. Steam was rising, my body frozen, touching it again and again, trying to convince myself it wasn't real. But it was. And I knew something had changed. This is Behind the Cam, Unmasked Stories, empowering voices from the sex work community. This is episode 1, a new chapter from Cam to Cancer, back to Cam. And this is my story. Hey y'all, and welcome to Behind the Cam, Unmasked Stories, empowering voices from the sex work community. I'm Liliana, and I'm your host. This podcast is about what lies behind the lens, the part people don't see, the real stories, the healing, the survival. We talk about sex work here, but more than that, we talk about being human inside of it. This podcast is not profound. We talk honestly, but never graphically. And we hold every story with respect. If your body has changed in ways you didn't choose, if you've had to rebuild from scratch, if you've ever lost your confidence and had to learn how to find your way back, this space is for you, and I welcome you. Before we go any further, a quick content note. I'll be talking about breast cancer here, diagnosis, surgery, treatment, body image. No graphic details, but this is a real emotional territory. Take care of yourselves. Listen, pause when you need to, and come back when you are ready. I appreciate you listening, so please take care of yourselves. If this caused any stress, take a moment, breathe, and come back. Before cancer, confidence was complicated, but it was familiar. I knew how to walk into a room and hold my head up high. I knew how to flirt. I knew how to perform. And I also knew what it felt like to be underestimated, to be judged, to be labeled before I even opened my mouth. But even then, I could reach for a version of confidence almost on demand. It lived inside my voice, in my posture, and in the quiet way I could tell myself, I'm still here. Then everything shifted really fast for me. Started on a May morning in 2022 in the shower. I felt a lump. I held my breath and I slowly sat down in that tub. I stayed there for 45 minutes while the water went cold. I mean, it did, hoping it wasn't real at all, while knowing deep down, knowing it was. After I got out of that shower, I made a doctor's appointment. I didn't talk it through. I didn't panic out loud. I just did it. Because when your body actually speaks like that, you're going to listen to it. There was so much racing through my mind. My husband noticed right away. Um, I was quiet. I was distant. I was definitely somewhere else, lost in my own thoughts. And no, I didn't tell my husband that night at all. I was still really trying to process all of this in my head myself. A doctor's appointment coming in June. So it was one of those. The next night, we were in bed, me and my husband laying there, and he asked me what was wrong. I didn't answer him. I just took his hand and I placed it on my right breast, right where that lump was, and he felt that lump. He went completely still, and he asked me when. We both knew then, without saying a word to each other. It was, it was, yeah, very emotional. And it was June 1st came rolling around very quickly for me. I saw the doctor. He did my exam. He felt that lump and sent me straight down to ultrasound. During the ultrasound, the tech, well, she didn't say anything really to me. And so y'all know, I was a CNA at one point in time. I knew exactly what I was seeing and what I was looking at right then. A few days had gone by, and that call came in, and they wanted to get a biopsy, of course, right? So we scheduled, and I'm gonna tell you, those 4 days of waiting felt very endless. I was so nervous because I just wanted to get this done. The night before that biopsy, just so y'all know, I had this dream, and in that dream, I dreamt that visitors came in, and they were going to take an ultrasound underneath my right armpit, see the lymph node, and they were gonna take a sample or biopsy from that node too. And in that dream, I just knew. I knew that I had cancer. Well, the next morning comes rolling around. I wake up shaken, still stuck in that dream, trying to get ready, trying to tell myself it was just a stupid dream. No, you're fine. Nothing's going to happen. And, trying to really just pull myself together to go to this appointment. I'm already nervous. I am scared. I am frustrated. On the way to the appointment, I tell my husband about that dream. I was having a little bit of anxiety, starting to kind of panic. I said, I really think they're going to take a sample from my armpit, the nodes. He tried to comfort me. Such a loving man, I'm telling you. I don't know how I would have done this whole thing without him. He said, it was just a dream, baby. You'll get through this. That's that everything was going to be really okay. We walked in to the doctor's appointment. The nurse, she takes me back, gets me settled, and she comes in with the ultrasound. Oh my gosh. I panicked. I just don't know what to say. She tells me that, well, doctor would like me to get a look under your right arm, and we would like to take a sample from one of your nodes. I really then started to panic. I mean, I completely like had a total anxiety attack. I froze because I knew that my body had told me in that dream already that it was true. That I did have breast cancer. A few days later, the diagnosis came. I was driving on my lunch break. I worked for Avis and Budget, rented a car at the time, so I was driving one of the cars. Um, and my phone rings. I answer, and it's the doctor. So when a doctor calls, it's not a nurse. You already know. And all he says to me is, "I'm really sorry. You're too young." And then, well, the words come out. You have breast cancer. I called my work and told him I don't think I'm going to be able to come back in. I just was diagnosed with breast cancer. Now, a drive that normally takes me 45 minutes to get home, it took me 3 hours that day. I pulled over, and for the first time, I wondered, am I dying? Am I going to live? What happens now? Where do we go? From here, in that moment, everything looked different. I realized how much we take for granted in life, how we don't really stop and smell the roses, how short life really is. I remember sitting and crying, yelling, asking why. And at the very same time, I'm telling myself, I will beat this. I will win. But I'll be honest, I was terrified. When I finally made it home, I had to say it out loud. Um, I had to tell my husband. That's when it became real. I mean, real. It was breast cancer. I broke down in tears. I mean, sobbing tears again. He held me and said, "We'll get through this, baby, one moment at a time." And that became our anchor point, one moment at a time. That was our saying, our thing. That same day, I shaved my head because I wasn't going to let cancer take that from me. It was taking my breast, but I wasn't going to let it take my hair. I still had control. I mean, my breast and my hair were the two favorite things about me. My image, especially as a cam girl, I mean, hair, breast. So I had to take control of at least something. July and August, they were blurs. They blurred together doctor's appointments, oncology, surgeons, um, decisions about my treatment. It was one battle after another telling me what I could do and what I couldn't. I had to have a port put in September, and it was like September 1st or so. And that same day, I went into chemo. And after just 2 treatments, we had to move. Um, and I got really sick in that. So, a port is a device that they put underneath your skin. Um, so you can get your treatments through because chemo is a very powerful drug. It's so powerful that your regular veins can't take it. So they give you this port and it goes under and into a major large vein so they can distribute that. And then, of course, like I said, 2 weeks after, well, we were 4 weeks in actually because I had every other week I had to go in for this one procedure. And it was a really invasive drug. Second treatment I ended up having, um, you've heard of chemo brain, right? Chemo brain is one of those things that is so true. You forget. Sometimes you don't remember anything, like to the point where honestly, I remember getting up, going to my restroom, looking at my toilet. Okay. I can laugh now. I couldn't then. I cried many times because of this. But I'll laugh now because it's yeah, okay. I went back in the room. I forgot that I had to go to the bathroom. I went back and sat down on my bed. You know, you think about that. I got back up and went back in the bathroom. I looked at that toilet again and I went back, lay down because I was like, what am I in here for? I did this 2 more times before the fourth time that I stand up. I just let loose. I couldn't hold it any longer because, well, guess what? I had to go. I had forgotten that I had even had to go to the point where the body says, guess what? You're going now. Even though you don't want to remember, you have to. That's that's how bad that drug was for me. Um, After that, it was a few days later. We ended up moving, and we didn't move just down the street in the town we lived in. No, we moved a whole state away, 10-hour drive. I mean, we had to move because things just had way life decided to take a hold. I wasn't working anymore. Um, so we needed to go somewhere that we could get some help and a better, maybe a good treatment place. So we get there the next day that we get to the new state. I end up in the hospital, and my body just gave out on me. I was hospitalized for a week because that move it broke me physically, emotionally, complete, and nothing about confidence felt familiar anymore. And by the way, I did close that cam site down. My total cam career out the door. I closed it, disappeared without a sound. Nobody knew anything. I lost myself. So, um, yeah, that was the beginning. Chemo took so much my energy, my appetite, my sense of time, my eyebrows, and somewhere in the middle of treatment, before chemo had even ended, I literally broke. I mean, I felt lost. I was in a town, I didn't know anybody. I had been gotten out of the hospital after a week long. I remember I stepped out of a shower again. We are in a shower again, right? One day, and I took a look in the mirror, and I didn't recognize myself anymore at all. I had gained a whole bunch of weight because I'll tell you right now, what they say about chemo, they give you so much steroids that you blow up like a balloon. I was at the point of 240 pounds by the time I was done. But I really did not recognize who I was. I had no, not at all. No hair, dark circles, and I was seeing a version of myself that hadn't yet taken place. We'll put it this way. I mean, like I said, I had no hair. I had dark circles, but I had no breasts at the same time. I saw a body already changing in ways I never asked for. So I hit the mirror really hard. I shattered that mirror. Huh. Didn't hurt myself, thank goodness. And I just stood there, shaking, not crying, not screaming. I was just shattering because, well, I was grieving what hadn't even been taken yet. I was standing in the before, already living inside the after. I mean, that's a strange feeling to be in. Well, now chemo ended in February of 2023, but it didn't feel like it ended. I just felt hollow, lost, disconnected from my own body now, constantly feeling kind of sickly. Well, yeah, after that, a few months, April came rolling around, and I ended up having a double mastectomy. I chose a double mastectomy because I didn't want to have to go through this again later in life. I didn't want to have to go back through the surgery and have to have it done. Now, I was supposed to have reconstruction at the same time. That was the plan. Went and seen a plastic surgeon before we had the surgery. But in the long run, the day before, day before this surgery, I go in and because she wants to check to see if I have nicotine in my system now. I had quit smoking. My husband, he smokes, yes. We didn't realize that secondhand smoke is still in my system. That the plastic surgeon denied it. Now, in that case, I can tell you, I almost didn't go through my whole fear. The only thing I didn't want to do was wake up without breath. I didn't, I was scared. Well, they all, my surgeon, my husband, and everybody talked me into continuing to get that surgery done. So I went ahead and yeah, I had the surgery. And yeah, and that's exactly what happened. I woke up without my girls. I woke up with just bandages, drain tubes hanging from me, and encaved. 'Cause they had to go deeper than they thought. They had to scrape my right wall because, yeah, it was a silent space, to be honest with you. And that space was very silent. But in the moment, I felt like something fundamental had been taken from me. But my husband, he was right there next to me, looking at me with love, not pity, not fear, just straight up love. And all he said to me was, "You're still as beautiful as the day I met you, one moment at a time." And even though I didn't believe him at that time, even though I didn't believe it yet, that moment stayed with me because sometimes when you can't hold yourself together, someone else holds the truth for you till you're strong enough to carry it. Till you're strong enough to carry it again. And that's what he did for me. After surgery, after chemo, after radiation, I had lost completely all confidence. I could go out in public without prostheses, without a wig, without putting on a mask of what normal might look like to you in my mind. But every time I left my house, I felt like I was assembling a version of me piece by piece, hoping no one would notice what was missing. And yet, inside me, there was still a woman who wanted to feel okay. This needs to be edited right here and taken out, please. And yet, inside of me, there was still a woman who wanted to feel very sexy, desired, very alive. Now, my radiation ended in 2023, 10 long weeks from like July, I think, until sometime September, as I kept calling in. I hated radiation, to be honest with you. I will do 100 more chemo sessions in my whole entire life over that radiation. That radiation was no fun. They say that it's nothing. No, it actually makes you feel very weak. 5 days a week going in, getting this laser beam pointed at your chest and it radiating you. Yeah, it might be a 10-minute thing. I was so drained after every session. It was not a thing that I want to ever do again. But when it was finally over and I became feeling like me, starting to regain some of my energy, starting to feel good about myself. I really did want to find something about myself again, to regain that confidence, to try to find it. Not really wanting to step in front of people and show on a camera yet, but I still wanted to find that confidence some way, somehow. I totally did. I realized something. I didn't know how to come back to myself, really, but I wasn't ready to completely disappear from everything either. So one day I started searching, not for attention, for connection, for something, anything that could help me feel like me again. And that's when I came across phone sex work online. Yes, unexpected, huh? Yeah, me too. And I remember thinking to myself at that moment in time that, oh, why not? I became a phone sex actress, and it gave me something I desperately needed, a way to feel beautiful without being seen, a way to feel wanted without being, well, looked at. My voice became the doorway. My imagination became the space. And my body, for the first time in a long time, and in a very long while too, didn't have to be judged, to be valued. It was a security blanket. It was like my mask, a place to hide and still be powerful. Behind the phone, I could be whoever I needed to be for them. But more importantly, I could start finding my way back to myself. And that meant more than anything. Now, reconstruction didn't happen until 2.5 years later. That was a really long 2.5 years for me. I mean, really trained, but I gained my confidence in that 2 years. I was okay with being a flat chested, no boobs, no nothing. So October 19th, last year, I went in into surgery to have that reconstruction. Now, remember that little port I told you about earlier in the show? That was finally removed. And I'm going to tell you guys one thing. To be honest, even now, sometimes I still rub my chest right there. Where that scar is, it reminds me of the strength of everything my body endured. And sometimes, just sometimes, I miss it. I do. Now, for that reconstruction, I went in and it was, I'm going to be honest, I was in surgery for 12 hours. I went with a flap procedure where they pretty much take part of your skin from your stomach, fat, and rebuild. Now, if I wouldn't have known how invasive and how painful and how long it takes to heal from this, I might have went a different route. I'm still kind of healing. And to be honest, I still have one more surgery to go through. We're not done yet, but I did it and I'm making it through every day. I'm healing slowly but surely, and I did regain that confidence. I held my head up high, even though I'm healing slowly, deeply. Now, healing wasn't just physical; it was emotional, It was learning how to live in this body that had survived so much. And when I healed enough, I'm telling you, not all the way, just enough, I started thinking about that camera, about coming back on, going back to being a cam model, about letting myself be seen again. It was not easy. I'm not gonna lie at all. I opened up my laptop more times than I could tell you I counted. I set up my lights around me, checking angles, making sure everything was set perfectly, even created a little space for it, adjusting frames, and then I would close it all down. That fear would creep in. That would take over. That old little voice may ask, "Who do you think you are now?" Well, but one day I didn't close it. I got all set up and I turned that camera on and I stayed on well, for an hour. Yeah, one whole hour. Proud. Yes. Let me go. That didn't change. That hour didn't heal me, but it showed me something. It reminded me that I still had a voice, a presence, something to offer. And, well, more than anything, it reminded me that I did not disappear just because my body changed. That moment is what led me here to this podcast, to this space, to this conversation, to episode one, my story, so I can make room for yours. If you take anything else from this, take this. You are allowed to rebuild yourself slowly. You are allowed to grieve what changed. You are allowed to miss who you were without being ungrateful for who you are. You are allowed to come back in your way, in your time. For me, it started behind a phone, then a camera, and now a mic. And I am still becoming, still learning, still unmasking, just like you. Thank you for listening to Behind the Cam, Unmasked Stories, empowering voices from the sex work community. If this episode stayed with you, follow or subscribe, leave a review, or share it with somebody who needs it, who maybe feels less or even alone. And if you have a story, you're unmasking your comeback, your messy middle, this space was made for you. Details are in the show notes below. Until next time, move at your own pace, trust your body, honor your survival, because what you see on camera is never the whole story. Thank you. I'm Liliana, and I say goodbye for now.